Eso every week you leave.
Just we'll get going shortly, team. Once Vicky gets us online. Thank you. Welcome everyone to today's hearings. First off, I might have to start just before 10 to attend the meeting, but Deputy Mayor Kennedy will resume watch if I have to. Do we have any apologies? Right. And we have Richard from the media here today too. He's going to be taking photos. Welcome, Richard. Declarations of interest. Councillor Cotton.
Yes, Your Worship. There's a submission in from the Lawrence Chinese camp, and I'm actually a trustee of that, so I suppose it's prudent for me to highlight that.
Your Worship, it's just a hearing, not a submission, so it's not a decision meeting, Councillor, so obviously it'll be appropriate when decision time comes. Okay.
But thank you for acknowledging that, Councillor. No further declarations of interest. Right, the hearings meeting. The purpose of the meeting is for receipt of the annual plan of fees and charges submissions and outlines proposed hearing arrangements. So everyone's got their submission booklets all good to go? Lovely. Right, item number 1 on their agenda is their report summary. Is anyone willing to move any of those recommendations?
Yes, yeah, Peter, were we intending the resolution to be moved now before the hearing?
Right, so recommendation 1 receives annual plan proposed fees and charges report. That's the report, and extend the meeting now.
I'm happy to move recommendation 1 and 2.
So Catherwood, Councillor Graham, thank you, councillors. Right, we'll commence. And our first guest today, the Balclutha Primary School. Welcome.
Different heights. Morning, Larry.
Just stand one round, of course.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Can we have the page number and that come up, please?
On this.
Oh,
On your piece of paper there, Bruce.
Book 1, page 27 for the first.
thank you.
Councillor Graham, if you need any help moving forward, to see Councillor Cotton, please.
Shit.
Welcome. Welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Liam Haring and this is Charlotte Watt. We are from Balclutha Primary School and we are here to tell you about the road safety issues at Balclutha Primary School. In February of this year, we conducted a week-long survey about how many children cross Lanark Street on the marked crossing and how many cross Glasgow Street on the unmarked crossing. We discovered that a lot more children cross on the unmarked crossing than they did on the marked crossing. Please refer to the supplied traffic data. We decided after reading the data that we really need a pedestrian crossing on Glasgow Street. So we wrote letters to all Clutha district councillors to alert them to the road safety issues we are having at BPS.
It is chaotic on Glasgow Street Road Patrol duty because on certain days of the week there are more vehicles than there are children crossing. It is really hard to see because there are no painted markings, so cars can park really close to our crossing point, and we cannot see past the vehicles to do our checks. It is really dangerous because there are always trucks and cars speeding past. While we have been on road patrol duty, we have experienced the following unsafe situations. Cars speeding, trucks driving past on Glasgow Street, whereas no trucks drive on Lennox Street where there is marked crossing. Parents jaywalking and ignoring our crossing and taking their children with them. Cars parked right on our crossing point. Cars driving quickly and then slamming on their brakes. It is hard to tell if the cars will stop or not when we are calling for crossing. It seems like the cars drive slower on Lennox Street than they do on Glasgow Street, because when they are on Lennox Street, they are expecting to stop because of the marked crossing. Impatient children attempting to cross without the patrol permission. Impatient children who get sick of waiting because we can't stop cars. Sometimes there are up to 30 kids waiting to cross at a time. As you can see, this is a very unsafe situation for the children crossing, road patrollers, parents, and the road users. We are concerned that someone is going to be severely injured or worse, killed. So please, 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 can we have a marked crossing on Glasgow Street?
Thank you for listening to our submission.
Well done. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Councillor McAtamney.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Can I please ask the survey that you've done, and you've given us the numbers and things, what was the time frame each day? Was it when you were doing the controlled crossings, or was it the whole day?
Oh, we done it at 3 o'clock till 3:15.
Yeah, so it was during all school hours, or just
No, just 3 o'clock to 3:15.
okay? So that's 3 o'clock each day.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you for your submission, guys. You've done a great job. You talked about another crossing. How far away is the other painted crossing to this one that everyone wants to use?
They have to go. Yeah, it's on the other side of the school.
Oh, it's on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Crossman.
Thank you, guys. Is there similar traffic movements in the morning? Have you looked at that as well for people coming into school?
No, not really.
The traffic is similar, but we haven't collated it like they have.
Oh, well, thank you for your honesty there, mate. That's great. Question for council. Do we know, we do acknowledge your letter to council, and roading we're looking into it. Do we have a bit of an update? Do we have anyone from council?
Through you, Your Worship, it'll be part of the decision paper, so the report on options and those sorts of things will come
Yeah,
back.
the
for
report.
you. Yep,
Lovely.
come back
That's
for your
great.
decision meeting, which is on the 19th and 21st of this month.
Oh, no, that's lovely. Councillor McAtamney.
Oh, can I just make one other comment? Thanks for all the letters too that you sent to all the councillors. Read through them and yep, certainly made your points. So, yeah, thank you.
Did any of the councillors reply to your letters? Hopefully I did.
We have two replies.
2 replies. Come on, councillors.
Through you, the chair, I made sure that you'd replied though before.
I did
ask. Through you, the chair, just one more question. Is a majority of those people, because you've got the bus stop on that road now as well, which has changed, going to the rec centre and also getting picked up by parents on that other side for parking, isn't it?
So people are using that a lot more. People are using that a lot more because there's more parking over there, and there's also sports as well. And we've moved the bus stop from the front of the school to the back of the school.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillors? Oh, once again, thank you so much for your courage to come along. And yeah, you're our district's future leaders, so it was lovely to meet you. And good work. And we'll wait till decision day.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
The information on this is wrong.
Thanks, Ray.
Busy down
Right, book one, page 150, team.
Book two, there's a fault in there.
Book two.
Book two, not book one. Okay, I've got it.
He actually put teachers.
Yep.
So it's
Full close,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not a single. Welcome. Welcome, Craig.
You guys hear us all good? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I know you've got a busy day. Tēnā koutou katoa. Most of you probably know me, those who don't. Craig Gordon, Sport Clutha, Regional Sports Coordinator, and I've got James Nation here, the CEO of Otago. So,
Sorry, Craig, it's book two, page 150. Sorry. Yeah, I'll follow.
So look, thanks for the time. I know you've got a busy day. I guess just from me and from James, as far as Sport Clutha goes and Sport Otago, thanks so much for the support that you give us. That enables us to do what we do across the district, and obviously your support for what you do for facilities in general. We've got the Elsie Stewart Hall in Milton, we've got the Kaka Point Playground, just to name a couple of things. Obviously, Youth Council supporting the Cactus program, which we're involved with, and I can go on and on. So I'm not going to do that, but just a bit thanks from us. I'll let James cover off a few things from our submission, and then I will also speak on a couple of things that are towards the end of our submission. Cheers.
Thanks, Craig. Kia ora koutou, ko James Nation tōku ingoa, ka whakahari mātua Sport Otago. So, look, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to submit. But we want Otago to be the world's most active region. Craig does a very good job of bringing that to effect, and the Clutha district is actually one of our really high-performing regions in terms of participation numbers. So we're about getting Otago active, essentially. And we lead the way in New Zealand. So currently, 63% of our 5 to 17-year-olds are active. It's up from 60% in 2023. However, we know that there's 27 that aren't active, 27%. So that's what we're after, is about looking at those ones that aren't active and trying to remove the barriers, reduce the barriers to help them get out there and be active. We're also the top-ranked secondary school region in the country. We were third. We're up to first in the latest rankings, and we've been pretty consistent up there. So that secondary school space is super important about activity levels, and also setting up some really good foundations to continue being active into life. So just from a Sport Otago perspective, a Sport New Zealand perspective, any money that's invested into sport, physical activity, is money well spent. There's a known return on investment. So a pretty conservative Sport New Zealand research project around that, every dollar spent is a $2.14 return on that. And I think some more social return on investment work around infrastructure for sports and recreation facilities, it's coming in a lot higher than that 2.14. So I think any dollar spent is dollar well spent. Just in terms of a focus area for us in this region is Milton. We've put $40,000 into that over the last year through some of our funding mechanisms to Manawa, which is into Milton, the primary school, secondary school, and into Project Bruce as well. So there's a concerted effort from us to be helping support that community in particular, because we're aware of a lot of barriers there just around activity levels. The new pump track as well, we put 20,000 towards that, and it's fantastic to see that up and being used. So, but just thank you very much. I think just wanted to highlight that money into sport and physical activity and recreation is money well spent. And I know in this really tough environment that's hard to find, but there is a long-term payback for the community around that. So thank you.
Thanks, James. Just wanted to sort of cover off, team, what what does that mean? That's a minute ago.
3 minutes old, yeah.
Cool, okay, look, I'm sure you've all read the doc, just around obviously the Milton Pool, and it's potentially closing over the coming summer. I've outlined all the reasons to keep it open, but yeah, happy to take any questions on that. And then also I've mentioned the gate around the back of the rec centre, and it's all pretty much covered off, but happy to take any questions on that, I guess, we're short of time. So, yeah, any questions?
Any questions, councillor Craig? Any questions? Oh, although it feels brief, thank you so much for taking the time to come along and speak to us today.
Thanks, Your Worship.
Lovely.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Have a great day. Right. Number 3. Stuart Morrison. Welcome, Stuart. Afternoon, gentlemen. Well, morning, sorry. Morning. Not a bad day to be inside, is it?
For those who don't know us, I'm Stuart Morrison, Stephen Corderwick and Stuart Murray. We're on the South Ruth Water Scheme. I take it you would have read our submissions. So basically, we feel we're going to be very hardly done by on both sides, both amendments on this. We are quite a unique scheme with our volume of water that we supply or have available to our customers, consumers, and our consumers are quite big users. So on the supply charge, that leaves us, we end up with some horrendous bills if we want to get rid of water later. And as I said in my submission, all other schemes are nowhere near our volume. So I think we have got a good argument that we should be treated differently. You know, come in, if you're going to go push this through, we need to come in as equals on the other schemes. So whether we get a discount or something along the lines, it's just, yeah, and like, we've done all our work. So I've actually had 2 scheme chairmen come to me now and say, oh, look, we're going to do bigger upgrades because everyone's going to pay for it. Well, we've done our upgrades. We pay for ours ourselves. And going forward, we just feel we're going to be completely disadvantaged.
Just to add to that, being on another scheme as well, on the North Bruce scheme, which you probably shouldn't be naming who it is, but I mean, that would be the other end of the scale if there's been like little or very little investment on. It's a big area and not a lot of volume when near the comparison of the one of the South Bruce scheme. And I think, as Stuart's already said, we've spent a lot of money on it, always kept it upgraded, and we feel very disadvantaged and aggrieved really because of our good work putting it in and just being lumped in with everybody else. And ongoing, I think Stuart's example would be using, like 150 units of water, and the cost of what that would be if it was to go to $1,000 or thereabouts. Some of the figures that we talked about, just to use a round number, it'd be unsustainable really, and you would get people wanting to get off by whatever means they could, which would make it even worse for whoever was left behind. I think they want to give really good due consideration to where it goes from here, because the thing will just implode from where if it goes through under the current proposal. So give it good consideration before you sign off on that. Otherwise, I think you'll have an even bigger problem with the water schemes.
Yeah, I'd really just like to endorse those comments too, or something that, yeah, we are a fairly compact little scheme, and well, most of the consumers keep a fairly close eye on what's happening, and be proactive in pushing for upgrades when required, and they have been put in place, as Stuart had said. Yeah, we've done the hard work. We don't want to be forced into paying for everybody else's upgrades or something. Some small portion, but not the whole lot, perhaps.
Going along from that, like, because we are bigger users, if it was an equal price overall, we're going to end up paying more because of the amount of water we do use on our scheme. So that's basic. You're going to have to treat YBs differently because they're not quite palatable water. So I think we've got to come into that somewhere along the line as well. Yeah, any questions?
Oh, sorry, could I just ask one of clarification first, Your Worship? Gentlemen, where did you get the evidence or the information to suggest that your scheme would go to $1,000 a unit?
It was rounded up, like just the general talk, like I've been quite involved in the chairman's thing right from the start. Morrison and Lowe, and we just rounded it up. Like they're talking, it could be $800 or $900. So just for easy maths, I just made it 1,000 because God knows where it's going to go. Yeah.
You do appreciate that if it does get to that extent, we won't be in control of it by then, so.
Even worse. That's even worse. But some of the rules you're looking at setting now is going to make it very difficult for any of our suppliers to do anything else. That's because we are huge suppliers compared to most schemes.
Yeah, but going back to the models that you produced with on the schemes, where do you see the values there? What, instead of a inflated one at $1,000 that you're quoting?
So what do you mean by that?
Well, you know how we're talking about caps smoothing.
Yeah.
You're talking for $1,000. The models we gave you at the water scheme meetings were $1,000 at that level.
Some of the other meetings I've been at that had those figures close to it were mentioned. And as I said,
that's a talk, but
yeah.
what we supplied.
Yeah, but that's a start. Depends what percentage you go with as well. But it doesn't, if irrelevant of the figures, we are going to be paying a bigger share than anybody else because of the volume of water we use.
Yeah.
And our scheme is very low cost running because we're, as I said, we're only about 8.5 k's from is our longest pipeline from the treatment plant. We're cost 8.5 k's for someone else, probably 2 suppliers. I don't know. But like when we were at 250 litres a hectare, what's the average of the other schemes? Can anyone answer that?
Through you, Your Worship, I can answer that. They're designed for sheep and beef, and they're between 65 and 85 litres a hectare.
So,
but that's just the design standard.
Oh no, there's no arguments here, George. You're dead right. But I'm just saying because of our large water volumes, we are quite different to the other schemes. That's what I mean. If we can come in at a more discount rated, so we're all treated the same. Like when you did the towns, every town basically household gets the same amount of water. It was very easy, but we're the scheme, waters for all water schemes are completely different. Averaging it out.
Low and high volume. Yeah. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Stu, for your submission, and I do take your points, what you're talking about. One question I have for you, is there potential for expansion in your scheme, or is it pretty much where it's going to be as far as selling units go?
No, we're probably pretty area-wise. There's no more area probably. We've pulled in what we can. The conversions are done, and most people are happy. Like there is actual water in the scheme. Not everyone's up to their full allocation. But I don't know. I can't give you exact figures.
No, but generally, in general, there's not going to be more conversions, or you're pretty much
no more land coming available. So I mean, and all the ones that were sheep farms are dairy farms now, and it's unlikely to be more consumption, less some sort of horticulture came of it. The water table's pretty high down there. You don't really need extra water. We're trying to get it off.
Understand. Well, thank you. As you know, I come to your scheme meeting, and I really appreciate you submitting and being honest with your submission as well. So that's duly noted.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from with the forestry on the other schemes, but it's one sweeping thing over everyone. Every scheme is slightly different, so yeah.
Ours will be very stable, and unless if the unit price got high, and people could find loopholes of getting out of it, they probably will. Because you've got absentee owners who normally have clever lawyers who usually find ways of getting out of doing things, and then
that's why they're in the position.
Yeah, and then it starts to implode. You know, that's the fear. If it gets too expensive, it would implode.
I agree with 100%. So obviously, you're talking around $1,000 a unit. It's probably that level for your scheme. We got up around that level.
I just use that as a roundup figure, make it simple. Because you don't know where it's going to go.
And that doesn't normally come down in price.
No.
Things don't tend to.
No.
Councillor Megatowny.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I've got a question, but just on that clarity of where that price is going. Under that 20% adjustment, in 2 years' time, you'll be looking at 414 a unit. So 295 is where you're tracking this.
Yeah, but some of the stuff Morrison loaded earlier was talking more as well.
Well, I could probably say Morrison Love spat out a lot of numbers.
Yeah, well, you're right.
For all the three water stuff, and it's sort of, to be honest, pie in the sky. I've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
There's been all sorts of.
You've said it.
But my question is, you're concerned about some of these big. You've got a small number of users, and they take some big units. Why then aren't you a supporter of the availability charge? If you were to have the farmer decide that they were going to pull 150 units out and do their own scheme, that makes the rest of you have to cover that cost if you can't.
Yeah, but it's only a lot of, because our scheme is quite small, we can, I don't think it'd be an issue for us because we're quite a low cost scheme to run and we wouldn't be producing that much water. So it'd be only our standing charges that wouldn't be affected, would still be the same.
Yeah, but look at some of those, you must have guys that must have nearly, say, 10% of the water.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, so if you lost one of them, it's quite an impact on the rest of you.
Yeah, but it's one that I'd rather have people have the ability to do that on our scheme. We're probably not like you, the forestry one's going to lose huge amounts. And that's the argument. We need some, and that's why I won't talk to Roger about that other suggestion. You let people maybe get rid of about half their units without paying any standing charge. Then after that, you put the charge in because in the schemes are still getting their half rate. You know, you got to have some flexibility in there. You can't, to me, you can't just have a concrete roll on that supply charge.
Any more questions, Councillor McTaggart?
No.
Councillor Kelly.
How many residential dwellings are connected to this scheme?
Well, we've got Stirling and Ben Hart, but they're off on their own supply. Cherry Lane, which is, it's a separate thing for South Bruce. It all comes out of the same tree.
500 houses?
Well, on the South Bruce, it wouldn't be 500 houses, shouldn't I? South Bruce South is only, well, so if you're talking about the delivery side, it's only the house on Excluther and the ones down down towards Scottangata. So you'd be lucky to be 100 houses. Wouldn't it? Probably wouldn't even be there.
50.
I actually do think for civil defence, and I think there's only 40 houses on Excluther, and there wouldn't be as many. So probably more like 60 or 70, possibly.
Have you got another question to follow up that answer?
Oh, I suppose the question would be, how do you feel that, water is the resource that creates the economic input throughout the district. So on our residential side, so you're feeding some residential homes that potentially be paying up to, if they're getting 2 units per day,
$1,600.
Yeah, they're going to be paying $1,600, so they're paying $800 a unit. So it's the same water.
All the houses.
How do you feel about that as a district? Because
all the houses I'm talking about, really, apart from probably 2 or 3, are actually tied up with farms.
Yeah.
There's only probably off the top of my head 4 or 5 that are like what I call lifestylers. The rest are all operating farms. So like we don't get it. It's not just a rural, an urban connection, I suppose you'd call it. That's what you mean.
So then my next question would probably be to Jules, actually, is there's very few residential customers on this, very few residential dwellings, so very few people. We're probably less than the 500. Is this scheme not better to try to those people to be self-sufficient and
the scheme becomes their own scheme?
That would be something you potentially consider in a decision paper if that's if there's a question from a councillor, we wouldn't want to be necessarily answering it at a hearing.
But I'm saying,
So through you, your worship as well, the only other issue is the one treatment plant doesn't just supply the scheme, it supplies the Stirling Township, Cherry Lane, Benha, as well as all the people who are connected through the South Bruce scheme. So it's actually a lot more than just the people on this. So you can't, if you've got a treatment plant supplying a whole lot of people, that becomes quite difficult.
Yeah, but is that possible?
You mean you said you could have
We do buy our water off the treatment plant, South Bruce, so we are, even though we oversee it all, South Bruce buys it off the treatment plant, so probably no reason why some of that couldn't be done.
I just want to understand the whole conversation more, as in I see what you guys are taking in water, treated water, to feed stock. So the majority of it's getting.
The majority of it goes down a cow's throat or used to hose down a carry yard, to be fair.
And then we've got the residential pressure coming of $1,500 per annum. And then we've got the pressure of, in a year's time, moving to the CCO. And then it's gone. And they're not making these decisions. I'm just wondering, is that an option that's getting investigated? Why can't it be an option to be investigated? Because we might find the residential people are happy.
It's a good thing to investigate personally.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, exactly what you mean. He says for the stock, then people treat their own for the few houses that they've got themselves.
I completely sympathise with you, with your guys' submission. But then I look at the leader's a leader. Water.
Yeah. So no further questions rather than debating? We can't
I understand
resolve
these
that.
guys are coming
We
from.
can't resolve it today.
So I want to understand as a councillor, can we do something else? Think outside the box.
Yeah.
Give some resolution to these guys.
We can't do that today, I'm afraid.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. So any further questions? Hey guys, thanks so much. It was really good to meet you through the council, the water scheme meetings and so forth. And as a council, we put that paper out there to generate a conversation, and that's what it's all about, is consulting, and you've backed it up by turning up today to talk to the submission, so it's really appreciated.
Well, we saw the youth walking in before, and then you said how future leaders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once upon a time. We all get a turn, and it's not a race, is it? Once again, thanks so much for attending today.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Right, thanks guys. We'll move on to Lee Anderson from the Mighty Valley. How are you, Lee? Good to see you here today.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My concerns are with the rural water scheme funding proposals. Firstly, I do agree with the proposed availability charges for the long-term viability of schemes that have land use changes. These charges would help those schemes remain viable in the future. Secondly, the unit rate capping / price moving proposal has no merit that I can see. I'm a member of the Clutha Valley and Clinton scheme, and this would increase our water rate and give the new Greenfield scheme lower unit costs. This would be at the expense of many other schemes. Our scheme made large capital improvements when Clyde and Clinton combined and became one of the most expensive schemes for unit charges in the district. Other schemes chose to keep their unit charges low at the expense of capital improvements and sometimes good maintenance. The Greenfield scheme was one of these, and have ended up having to spend large amounts on capital improvements, but now want everyone else to help pay for it. Sale of new units would probably help reduce the unit cost. Rural water schemes are best to remain independent so the schemes can decide where and when they spend the money on capital improvements and maintenance. All schemes being put together as one entity and having a contestable funds would mean loss of autonomy and a nightmare applying for funds whenever a scheme needs to spend money. Thank you for your time.
Questions?
Your Worship, just a question on the submission, Mr. Anderson. I'm just picking up from your verbal submission around the availability charge. In your online submission, I don't see that there was any comment there about support or otherwise, but your verbal submission today, just want to be clear for statistics purposes, is that you do support an availability charge?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we get that reflected. Thank you.
Any questions for Lee? Councillors?
Yeah.
Councillor Cotton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your submission, Lee. Appreciate that. Just one thing. Do you realise that that all schemes are rated on a cost plus depreciation basis? And in the case of the Greenfields, now the Balmoral Torpeca scheme, those schemes were past the use-by date, so they had a 40-year life, and they've been replaced, just like you talked about your own Clive Pomahaka scheme being replaced a few years ago. So it's not about bad maintenance. I think it's about end of life and renewal. Do you realise that?
Yeah, well, I was also on that scheme too, and I think there was a distinct reluctance to spend money on the scheme because they wanted to keep the per unit costs down.
Yeah.
It just went on and on until it got to the point where it wasn't viable any longer anyway.
Well, yeah, no. Well, I do know, being a consumer on that scheme, or one of the original schemes, that our water rate doubled, and then it looks like it's going higher again. So what this paper is about is affordability.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just, it's okay, I'll leave it till after a little break. Say something else.
Councillor McCrossy.
Probably more of a statement. All they're trying to actually do is set up going forward that all water schemes will have some say. If we don't now, what happens when we get to CCA? You could be lumped in with no direction, and it could just go off through the roof. Where now you could have some direction going forward.
Your Worship, I will say something.
Yeah.
It's just, I think we just have to be careful, councillors. We talk about conflicts of interest and other bits and pieces, but we've all accepted that we've all got different interests and that we all are viable and entitled to ask questions and things. I think it's important, though, that in the hearing that you ask questions as opposed to making statements. And we need to be careful about that, particularly on this subject where interests, abound for council. So I'd just like to make that message that we really aren't looking forward, shouldn't have statements. We should be asking questions of the submitters, if that's okay.
Thank you for that, Steve. Councillor.
Well, on that note, Steve, I'd say that such a big game in this water after so many years now. But so my question would be, I suppose to you, Steve, would be, do you feel that a litre of water supplied within our district, a litre of water in this should be the same charge? Do you believe that there should be differences?
No, because each
for a resource, like it's a vital resource that everyone needs to either farm or run their home or whatever. To me, like, how do you feel about a litre as a litre?
Well, a litre is a litre, but each scheme has its own costs that are in the system. It depends how much pipeline they've got and how much they have to maintain it, how old it is. So I think if you had a standard charge, I don't think it would work.
So you believe that there should be different charges for the same resource, whether it's delivered in?
It's not actually the resource, it's supplying the resource, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the resource itself that you're paying for. paying for the pipes and the pumps and electricity.
That's right.
Any further questions, Lee? Oh, well, thank you for making the effort and turning up, Lee. It's great to hear voices about and it's all about the whole process. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. Cheers, Lee. Righto, councillors, we have a bit of a break now. Is there anyone else outside? Johnny Herbert or? Yeah, it's not too long.
Right, flag. I think they get their ball one or something.
Yep.
Can you tell us all about it, is it?
Right, oh well,
That's
yeah,
great.
we'll just have to adjourn.
They might come in early.
Hopefully you guys will be on your heels. Hamstrings tight. Hamstrings tight.
You mate. It's just what it looks like. Yeah.
Only got 10.
Well, we didn't think about it.
Actually, still an extra speaker. He can do that.
Welcome to our guests out the back there. Proceed with session 2 of today's verbal hearings. First up, we have John Herbert from the Moa Flat Rural Water Scheme. John. Welcome. Long drive from West Otago.
It's the same distance it was last year, yeah. Thank you. I have with me the chairman of the Moa Flat Water Scheme, John McCutcheon. Good morning, Your Worship, councillors, Steve, Jules, Julie and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is John Herbert and I'm here representing the Moa Flat Rural Water Scheme. Availability charge. The Moa Flat Rural Water Scheme fully supports the proposal. Our district and scheme, like many others, has seen a number of properties purchased by absentee owners who have planted the land in trees. The infrastructure that has existed for about 45 years is still there and still has to be maintained and kept up to date. Water schemes are essentially a cooperative, and when a property within the boundary gets removed, the other consumers have to pay more. This creates a house of cards scenario. It is essential that each property pays its fair share to keep the scheme going. We would strongly suggest that you look at 50% of design units, not units used, as this is a much fairer reflection of the ability and cost to date within the scheme to deliver water to that particular property. Most properties don't actually just receive their design units, they receive the units they require. The scheme might have been designed to deliver 20 units to that property, they are only getting 5. If you have an availability charge, have it on the design units because that's what's actually been designed and built to deliver water to that particular property. Whether they're using them or not is irrelevant. It's what's been designed and built. Right, assistance capping. Some time ago, I left this building as a councillor and vowed that I would stay out of things and mind my own business. However, I'm now bored and discovered that CDC are proposing to rate fine people of West Otago, and more particularly consumers on the Moa Flat Rural Water Scheme, $165,000 per year, and not because we're going to receive better water or more water, not because we've had a capital upgrade of a treatment plant or retic upgrade, not for more monitoring or even to cover the hundreds of thousands we've spent to achieve drinking water compliance after 3 years of poor water notes. We're going to be charged $165,000 to subsidise other farmers, businesses in the Clutha district. That's what this proposal is. It's a farming subsidy. Water is a cost of running a farming business, and this will mean the farmers of West Otago paying for water elsewhere. A lot of you sitting here know, as soon as you create a subsidy, you're filling a void. That void only ever gets bigger and is impossible to fill. On a modest sized property like mine, that will mean an extra $2,356 per year. For our largest consumer, that will mean an extra $7,750 per year. Every year, and that will grow. $7,750 per year for no extra service. How is that fair? You cannot compare the Moa Flat scheme with practically any other scheme in New Zealand, let alone the Clutha district. Apart from a handful of booster pumps, it is gravity fed and was designed that way. In fact, the original design had massive pumps to lift water from the upper Pomahaka River and lift it in 2 or 3 lifts to the reservoir. There had already been pipes unloaded for this to commence, and the committee of the day stopped it and preferred to leave it for a couple of years to explore the gravity options, knowing full well the price of gravity in 1976 would be the same as it is in 2026. the pipes were promptly sent back. Your job as a council is not easy, but you've been elected by the people to represent them, and it's your job to find the fairest way of apportioning the cost of each activity. Each water scheme is a separate activity. You're never going to please everyone, but it's important to find the fairest option. Rating someone an extra $7,750 for nothing they receive, how is that fair? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John, councillors? Councillor Cotton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your submission, John and John. So duly noted your thoughts, and yes, I do agree, Mark, that's a little bit different to other schemes. My question to you is around the availability charge. So you obviously support that. So can I ask you, do you know how many units you've lost so far due to a change of land use?
There's three major properties. One was big, about 2,500 hectares, went into trees. That's in Mile Flat. There's three major ones. It'd be close to 50 units, I would have thought, or more. And that's my point. I know it's hard, but and how you provide 50% is up to you guys. But the principle that I would believe is that scheme has been designed to deliver water to that property. 50% of the design units would be a fair reflection, in my opinion.
For you, Your Worship, thank you for bringing that to us as well, because when we circulated through the schemes, we asked if you had other ideas that might be a better way of doing things. So that's something that I'm sure Council will consider as part of the decision-making process. Thank you.
Jules,
I'm just sorry for Your Worship, just a question, because do you think, based on using design units, potentially puts the scheme at risk if it cannot supply those units if someone asks for it? Because
that exists now. That problem exists right now.
But we aren't charging people for half of that. So the marginal cost of them paying for their units, would that then mean they're more likely to take it up?
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's a modelling and design question. I don't build it or design it or build it. But I mean, in principle, as I say, without repeating myself, the principle is the scheme is designed for that, to deliver 38 units to my property. Whether I get 30 units or 32 units is up to me, but the scheme in principle was designed and paid to deliver 38 units to my property.
Thank you. So that decision paper.
Councillor McIntyre.
Yeah, thank you. So John, what is the total design units and what is the amount of units that are taken up? Have you looked at
The total design, it was designed for 85 litres per hectare per day.
Yeah.
So whatever your property was, and I'd have to look at what the whole capacity of the scheme is. I'm not sure. We sell 2,662, I think, currently.
But you believe that design units would be quite a bit more than that?
Well, it wouldn't vary. There's only a handful of people that have got their design units, and the history there was that when the dollar for dollar funding came out, you had to have X amount of units sold in a certain amount of time to get the government funding. And so a lot of properties, generally the people who are on the scheme at the day, bought the design units to try and accumulate enough units to apply for the dollar for dollar funding as soon as they can. So there's a number of properties in West Otago that now have get their design units. That's the only reason why people generally got their design units. I mean, there's farms that are similar size to mine that get half the units, but they don't really need 38 units. But yeah, that's the history of why there's someone designed, someone just what they require.
Any further questions for John? Councillors? Well, thanks, John and John. How many Johns left in West Otago? Are you all here today? Yeah, so hey, thanks so much for coming and speaking to it, and you must appreciate the submission document, like it's a consultation. Like, so far it's worked, it's got our rural people out there giving us a voice, so on their preferred options. So.
I'm not sure about that, Your Worship, but yeah, it's
well, it has. When we look at the submission book, there's a lot of people submitting on it, so it worked. We had to provide us with options, so it's important to them, and it's great.
One comment I would make is that it was as a committee, it was hard for me to try and fill in the form and then circulate around the committee. for their review before I submitted it. It's impossible to, the online form, to fill it in and then I couldn't circulate around the committee. You can only submit it back to council. You know what I mean? Like I'm submitting on behalf of the group, so I want to fill it in and then get their approval.
Yeah, get their opinion.
But I can't, you can't.
So that's great. No, that's
Yeah.
a bit of feedback of policy. We'd like to take that on board.
If you want feedback, I'm here.
Really? You were here last year.
Yeah. You want?
Well, you had a ball of water notice
I'm not
last year. This year,
no, let's not go down that. We're all sorted.
Any further questions for John?
Do you want to carry on my other one now?
Yep.
He's got his personal.
Yeah, and then we can while you're there.
Yeah, you're done. You can have the rest of the day off. Once again, good morning, your worship, councillors, Steve, Jules, Julie and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is John Herbert. I would like to fully endorse the proposed new integrated library service centre and West Star Community Centre. The West Star Community Centre have done a wonderful job getting to this point and need some assistance to finish the job. The roof needs replaced, absolutely, no questions asked. I hope you've all had a chance to see the issues. In fact, it should have been done a couple of years ago, but they have kindly waited for this process. It is a very well used community facility. It is not unusual to have multiple groups using the facility at the same time.
Sorry to interrupt, John. Just, it's book 1, page 173, not book 2. Sorry, councillors. Sorry, John.
Am I not supposed to be speaking now?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
We were on the wrong submission. So
It's an issue for policy, right? Not your fault.
Stopped you mid-flow.
Multiple books. Do you want me to carry on?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Richie. You're good?
I've been on it.
Cool, mate. It is a very well-used community facility. It's not unusual to have multiple groups using the facility at the same time. It is our backup civil defence emergency facility and there's a plug-in generator ready to go. That really needs to be kept in mind when you're talking about this. This is where, and there has been a bit of a practice run that Councillor Kennedy went out about a couple of years ago when there was flooding at Kelso and people couldn't get through and there was people put up in that facility. So you can shower people, you can feed them and they've got somewhere to sleep and we've got a generator ready to go with a plug and a great big cable. So that, you know, it's the importance of that building in our community cannot be overstated. The library that's there was never really supposed to be a library, I don't think. It was the original Tapanui Borough Council building. And from memory, it has a 10% MBS rating, so it's structurally very weak. It's possibly the ugliest building that's ever been designed and built, and it sits in a very prominent position, albeit an unfortunate position, right in front of the West Star Community Centre. Both these buildings are in need of major repair. You guys know this. They both have leaking issues. They both have structural issues, and they're not fit for purpose. This is an opportunity to integrate the two, have a purpose-built space for a modern library and service centre, and finish off the West Star Community Project. We will end up with an attractive modern space with the added advantage of the synergies that will come with integrating the two. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. Questions for John? No further questions?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Right, we're back to book 2, page 112. Is that correct? If someone could stay ahead of the game with these page numbers and the book numbers moving forward, avoid any embarrassing moments, please.
When we break for lunch, your worship, we'll recheck the later ones and just make sure we're right. Thank you.
That'll be appreciated. Thank you. So I would like to welcome Rachel Landreth from South Otago Athletics Incorporated. Welcome, ladies.
Do I have to have that lower? Right down, I'm not that tall. Can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry, it's not Rachel here. She's away supporting her son at the area sports tournament, so you've got me instead. Good morning, Mayor and councillors. My name is Laura Allen, and I am here on behalf of the South Otago Athletics Club. Standing with me is Jasmine Hayes, the property manager from South Otago High School, and fellow South Otago Athletics Club committee member Kate Stainton-Herbert. Together, we are here with a shared vision to upgrade athletics facilities at South Otago High School and to establish a sustainable future for athletics in our district. Today, we are specifically seeking council support to fund the development of a fit-for-purpose long jump pit and to assist with the ongoing costs of athletics track and field line marking. To provide some context, the South Otago Athletics Club was re-established in 2021 and operated successfully from Centennial Park in Balclutha. During that time, we were aware of plans to develop the area into a community playground and made efforts to work collaboratively with those involved. Unfortunately, that collaboration did not eventuate. In February 2025, a council decision required us to vacate the grounds, leaving the club without a home and without a clear pathway for relocation. In response, we undertook a thorough and considered process to identify a suitable long-term base for athletics in our community. With the support of Raylene Bates, the Athletics New Zealand South Island Development Manager, and engagement with council representatives, we explored multiple options. This included consultation with the wider community and organisations such as the Balclutha AMP Society, as well as guidance from the CEO of Sport Otago. Following this process, South Otago High School was identified as the most appropriate location. The school has been highly supportive, and together we established a formal memorandum of understanding for the 2025-2026 season, reflecting a shared commitment to developing athletics for the long term. Athletics is one of the most accessible and inclusive sports available. It provides the fundamental skills that underpin nearly all other sports: running, jumping, throwing, and coordination, while also building confidence, resilience, and a strong sense of belonging. For many young people, particularly those who may not connect with team sports, athletics is their first and most important entry point into physical activity. However, to deliver a safe and effective program, we need appropriate facilities. The development of a safe, appropriately sized long jump pit is a critical first step. The plan is to put the two existing pits into one larger, safer pit, including new boarding and sand. The current long jump pits are on uneven ground, small, not fully boarded, and filled with gravel-like sand. The upgrade will ensure safety for our athletes, enable proper training and competition, and support the continued growth of the club, which already has strong participation from children aged 4 to 15 across the South Otago district. In addition, regular and accurate line marking is essential for the safe and professional delivery of track and field events. The grounds need an initial line mark at the start of the season, and then 3 to 4 more times due to the lines being mowed and the unsettled South Otago weather. The marking is not just used for South Otago Athletics Club, but other school athletics events through the season. This is not about adding extras, it's about providing sound and future-proof basic infrastructure required for athletics to exist and thrive. Importantly, the situation has arisen following a council-led decision to repurpose our previous grounds. While we respect the broader community benefits of that development, it is reasonable to expect that provision is made for the sport and community that has been displaced. At present, that provision has not been fully realised, although we do appreciate the support council has given after the February meeting and assisting with new grounds location. What we are asking for today is partnership. The South Otago Athletics Club and South Otago High School are committed to building something sustainable and valuable for the community. This project represents an opportunity to enhance an existing facility for the benefit of both the school and the wider public, creating a shared space that supports youth development, promotes active lifestyles, and strengthens community connections. With council support, we can establish a safe, permanent home for athletics in South Otago. Without it, we risk losing participation, opportunities, and the many benefits this sport brings to our community. The South Otago Athletics Club and South Otago High School urge you to consider not only the immediate request, but the long-term impact of your decision. This is an investment in our young people and community wellbeing and in the future of sport in our district. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Laura. Questions, Councillor? Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you for coming along today. My question is, have you gone outside of council for funding Sport Otago in other areas in the actual South Otago High itself? Or were you the first cab off the rank?
Well, this is our first cab off the rank because in previous conversations with the council, they've said that they would help us. We do some of our own fundraising as well. We run the half marathon. But no, we haven't.
And South Otago High directed us to the council. Yeah, I guess, yeah, as Laura said, based on previous conversations with the council and having to read from our original home. Yeah. And we do apply for funding for equipment. So Laura has just obtained a grant to help us fund some upcoming equipment from the Bill and
Jim and Bill Beatty
Jim and
Trust.
Bill
Yes,
Beatty
we just,
Trust,
yep.
Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, ladies. So let me get this straight. So there's no funding coming from the high school? No.
Yeah.
As a high school, we currently have the 2 pits there, which to date have served the purpose for what we need them for a high school capacity. And getting them upgraded, yes, it would benefit our students and it would benefit the wider community. However, it's not something that at this stage we were looking at doing just due to, well, funding constraints from being a school in one, and as well as that our current pits are serving what we need, so to say. If that makes sense.
Excellent, thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Well, ladies, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to come and present. That was lovely, thank you.
First, thank you.
Right, page 177, correct? Book 1. Lynn Fletcher, here at the district's community centre. Welcome, Lynn.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Your Worship and councillors, for the opportunity to come today and speak to our submission. My name is Lynn Fletcher. I am Secretary of the Harriet and District's Community Centre in Harriet, obviously. We oversee a proud standalone facility providing a service to not only the Harriet residents, but also a much, much wider community. The facility is run by a small group of dedicated volunteers who have the best interests of the whole community in mind when we're making any decisions. Essentially, we're the caretakers of the facility, entrusted with running it from previous committees that have set it up and done an awesome job. Our facility is used in the last year approximately 25 times per year. A wide range of ages and demographic groups use our facility, including but not limited to our local Harriet school, local Harriet playgroup, and we have community morning teas. We also oversee the squash club since it has gone into recess. Our usage was down slightly last year on previous years, but as a whole, we have the same people every year. But this can range from funerals to Anzac Days, you name it, we can put it on. In the adverse wind event last year, it was just apparent how important the community centre was to our community. We were just so lucky that Harriet still had power, so we had it open for the 8 to 10 days. People come and showered, they cooked and chatted and caught up. It was a lot of a community hub and a way to receive information, pass on information. Obviously with no internet, no coverage, no power, it was a way for everyone to find out information. Which this has also led us on to how we can be better prepared in a civil defence emergency, and we're going through the process now of putting some more things in place. We're just in the process of putting together a more comprehensive first aid kit, just things that when we're on our own, things that we can do to help our community. We have a comprehensive maintenance plan in place, which we try and tick off every year. This year we're replacing 3 or 4 windows that have rotted and replaced. In the previous year we were painting and continually looking after things, making sure it's all good for the future. We're seeking an increase in our long-term plan to help offset our fixed costs like everybody. Our fixed costs such as insurance, electricity, heating has all gone crazy. So that's what we're here for today. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Well, that's wonderful, thank you. Do we have any Questions? Councillors? Councillor?
You're seeking an additional 5,000 on top of the 18,000, is that what you're requesting here?
Just one-off 5,000.
A one-off 5,000,
Yeah.
not ongoing.
Last year we got the 5,000 and it was just a 1 year, so it wasn't a 3-year one. So yeah, hence today.
And that's pre-planned, you've already got that sort of, this is the maintenance we require, we need 5,000 to achieve it.
No, we have money in the bank, if you like, and we have a comprehensive plan for the next 10 years.
Yep.
So this is more offset at costs than the maintenance. Yeah. We do have a healthy balance, but it is for that reason. You know, we want to look after ourselves and we never know what's going to happen. So yeah.
Councillor McCrosty.
So the 18,000 you've got maintenance and other, is that what you've got projected to spend this year on maintenance?
No, that's our fixed cost. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Well, thank you, Lynn, for making the effort to come over and speak to your submission. It's outstanding for the area community.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Right. Clutha District's Combined Museums. Roslyn, welcome.
Well, good morning, Your Worship, and if you wish it, I'd say Jock and councillors. Be advised, I'm chairman of the Combined Museum Committee, and I'll introduce our treasurer, Ros McKechnie. She'll explain to you why we need the money.
Talking to the point. I'm also the acting president of the South Otago Historical Society and curator manager of the Clutha Museum. And we do have representatives here from 5 of the 6 combined museums have come along to support us in our submission. So we're making this submission following on from the results of the review that was carried out by Lily and Tiffany and presented to Council in February. The Council directed that rather than any of the museums making their own direct submissions and as has happened in the past, the submissions be combined under the Combined Museums umbrella, hence we're here today. Therefore, this submission includes not only the operational expenses of power, insurance and rates, but also urgent building repairs and funding for curator hours. The review highlighted how different each museum is, both in size of collections and condition of buildings where these collections are housed. The Clutha Museum in Mount Clutha has the largest collection, housed in a building that is no longer suitable for the adequate conservation of a collection that includes national and international taonga. The focus of the 6 museums is also very different. While each has its own collection of agricultural artefacts which reflect the development of the Clutha district, each is also unique in its focus. Owaka has shipping, particularly wrecks and forestry. Kaitanga has the coal. Kaitangata has the coal. Milton has the pottery works. Lawrence has gold. Tapanui has vintage machinery. And Clutha has the river, along with the many families that settled the area and developed industries here. For example, McSkimmings at Benha, Finnegan Freezing Works, and the Chicory Factory. The use of the river as a means of transporting goods is a story that is not well told, I believe. There are some common threads, however, within each museum, but each has developed in a different way. However, operational expenses and curatorial expertise is something common to all. In terms of the operational costs already provided by the Council, I suspect that some of the museums may have closed by now, as the numbers through the doors are not sufficient to sustain this. In terms of curatorial expertise, the district now has 6 people qualified with the Level 4 certificate in museum practice who are always willing to assist where necessary, usually done on a voluntary basis outside of paid hours. As you'll see in the submission, a table on page 5 shows a rough breakdown of the percentage of the funds that each museum has received since 2020. There has always been a surplus which has been used to assist the museums to grow. However, for the first time in the current year, there has been a shortfall due to increased costs of power, insurance and rates. As to urgent building repairs, the West Building is the Clutha Museum, which has many issues, some of which are listed on page 6. We did look at going down the renovation route, but will cost a couple of million and is debatable as to whether the expenditure is warranted given the overall state of the building. Tuapeka Museum at Lawrence also has building issues. Bearing in mind that all the museums originally were staffed by willing, interested individuals with different levels of expertise, mainly in the business field, which served its purpose for a while, but is no longer sufficient to be able to maintain the collections. Hence the need for curators. The need for curator hours is in the table on page 6. Both the Tuapeka Museum and the Clutha Museum have the greatest need for a curator as they have the largest collections, with the exception of Tokomariro, who have currently 3 qualified curators, all working on a voluntary basis. As I have said before in this forum, the outreach person from Te Papa who visited some years ago pointed out to me that a collection of our size needs at least 2 full-time curators with assistance. The travelling public and locals expect museums to have a certain standard of preservation and presentation of the heritage of the area so they can learn and understand how this country has developed from pre to post-European. As with all organisations, attracting and maintaining volunteers is an issue. I've done 5 minutes, have I?
3.
3 minutes.
No,
Oh,
you're
I
right.
thought I had 5.
You have.
Yeah,
You're going good.
All right, well, I just want to, at closing, I just wish to reiterate our submission on the final pages when I find it here. There has been some discussion about the sustainable of the group model. This is mentioned on page 8. With increased funding, if we do get increased funding, the Clutha District Combined Museums is going to have to register the GST, which is going to put pressure on the treasurer. It's hard enough to get committee members as it is without that added pressure. And there is a question about sustainability of the group, because along with many voluntary organisations, as I've said, as we've said, there's always a difficulty in attracting new committee members, and the current committee members on the Clutha Combined Museums Committee are already serving in voluntary positions within their own organisations. And there has been discussions around that. Subject to further discussion within the Combined Museums group, and this is on page 8, we believe that the disbursement of funds would be best carried out by the council, which would negate the need to GST register. The current system can remain with each museum submitting their applications directly to council. One suggestion has been that the council gives a lump sum, and I believe in the council meeting a wee while ago that I watched on YouTube, that was something that was suggested. I didn't hear the whole conversation, so I didn't know what the outcome was that. Divided equally between the 6 museums, which I personally feel would be a fairer distribution of funds. And this can be accounted back to council at the end of each financial year. So thank you for this opportunity to submit, and we continue to look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillors, questions? Councillor McAtaman.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. Rosalind, in your submission, you've made a request for 178,000 for curator services. Have you got the capacity to deliver that? How hard would that be to do, to find people to do all that?
to advertise and actually employ people. I work at Clutha Museum under a service contract. So you know, that will continue. Let's get to that page. I'm not sure what the arrangements will be with the other museums. I think with a paid position, you're probably more likely to get people to work in those positions if they're being paid rather than having to do it voluntarily. And I think they would be good positions for suitably qualified people.
Yeah, but to get those suitably qualified people, I imagine there's quite a bit of expertise required to do that role.
There is, well, as I said, we've got six qualified people in the district now, but most of us are retired as well. So there's that. But, yeah, I mean, people can be trained. There is a course that we did, the Certificate of Museum Practice, that if a suitable candidate came up, they can be trained to do that position. And there's training courses also through Te Papa with support from Museums Aotearoa and providing training and support for people carrying out curatorial roles.
Just following on from Lynn, a question of Simon's, I see in the funding for curator hours, there's quite a variance there for how much a curator gets paid. I see in Lawrence it's 30, West Otago it's $52 an hour, and for Clutha it's 40. Is there a reason why there's a variance in the hourly rate?
Those were the figures that were given to me by the museums concerned.
Yes, more.
The West Otago one.
The higher fee per hour is those who are more experienced to do the more complicated work. Whereas a lot of it's just recording of articles we have in our museums, which would be at a lower rate. But you know, today everybody wants paid for what they do. That's the unfortunate thing about it.
And as I've said, the $40 an hour for my rate, I do it under a service contract. I've deliberately kept it at that rate since I've been doing this job, aware that it's an imposition on the ratepayers. And after I've paid my own tax and all the rest of it, I ended up getting about $28 an hour. So I have to do secondary tax. So I'm not doing it for the money.
Yes, yeah. There's a few of us in this room with the same opinion. Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I know that the Kaitenga Museum agrees that there is no longer a need for the combined museums group. Is that a concern, or is it weaken your stance, or?
Well, I would say to reply, Worship, that
we do have Robin here, but whether she's keen to come up or not.
they're a small museum at this stage, and I wouldn't like to let go of them because I think they're going to expand as time goes on. We're all, like West Otago, we're hoping to get funding to get a new building to put a lot of our machinery in, because we've got a lot of machinery all around the district waiting for a home at our museum. So I see Kaitenga no different.
I think it's the meetings that we have, and that's why we're having this discussion. We've actually got a meeting on Monday that we can probably discuss it more fully. Is that each quarterly meeting we travel around each of the 6 museums, and each museum, and prior to that, has submitted their form for reimbursement of the funds. So these meetings, in the first instance, are solely to approve the allocation of the funding that we get from council. So that's one thing that probably doesn't need to happen within a formal. So as was suggested, dealing directly with council in terms of that financial part of it. The other side with the meetings is that it's an opportunity for the 6 museums to get together and discuss any problems, issues, improvements, or learn strategies from each other to help solve any issues that they might have in a formal context. So there's kind of that social side of it as well. And I certainly think the financial side can be separated out.
Right, so you're saying that that Kai Museum would come to us separately?
We would all come to you separately. So if council decided to, find that bit now. If council decided to allocate the funds, then each museum would submit it, as it's doing now, would submit the request for reimbursement to council for their operational expenses. And then the council would pay each museum direct. Because at the moment, what happens is the council pays the money into the Combined Museums District account, and then the reimbursements are paid, excuse me, are paid out of that account to the individual museums.
Really,
Is that
really
clear as much?
it really depends on your decision on the Tuesday, 17.
So if it stayed
Well,
at,
depend.
if it stayed at the combined museums get their funding and Kaitangata was outside that combined, they would have to apply separately while the combined ones.
If Kaitangata choose to remain part of the Combined Museums group, they would still be part of the museums group.
Yeah, but if
But
they
make the
if
decision.
they weren't, would they have to apply separately?
Well, we really don't know that until we find out what decision's going to be made by your council.
Robin, have you got any, I know you're from, sorry to put you on the spot, I know you're from Kaitangata, so have you got any addition to this discussion? Sorry, this is Robin Hollis from Kaitangata. We'll be very brief. She may be able to explain Kaitangata's thinking along those lines. I'm just passing on what she provided me.
Thank you for this opportunity, I think. I didn't intend to be talking at all today. I'm chairperson for the Kaitangata Museum Group. We are a very, very different museum to a lot of these other people. We really appreciate the funding we get, but we're not actually requiring anything more than we have. Our treasurers does not want to be involved with having to pay GST and all that sort of thing. We're too small for all of that. We don't actually have any need at this stage to enlarge the museum. We have got no wish to do so. We've got maintenance plans in place. We're fully funded, fully staffed at least by volunteers, all of us. We raise a lot of our own funds. We sell lotto tickets, we do all sorts of things. We sell raffles at the pub. We manage our own finances quite well with the help of the council doing their generous rates and electricity and power and things. We may need a little help with that down the track. That's fine. Most of you probably know Joyce Beck. She's the secretary of this. We just had a little meeting the other day, and Ros has had Nolene's got the report. Unfortunately, we will not be attending the Combined Museums meeting at Owaka. I have personal reasons for that, I'm afraid. That's about it. We feel that we are what the Combined Museums as a group is asking is way above our pay grade for the size of the museum we have, and that's the honest truth. We don't want to put that pressure on people. We have a good group of volunteers. We've actually just got 2 new ones, younger, which is great. Anyone that hasn't got grey hair gets dragged in the door very fast. And that's
as opposed to us. Yeah.
Try Councillor Grant, he's got no grey hair.
So that really, I hope that explains the Kaitangata's position that we've got nothing against the Combined Museums Group as people or as a group. We know what they're trying to do, but we are just so different to all these people.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor McCroston.
Would I be right in asking if West Otago, a lot of that's vintage machinery, etc., is that also incorporate the West Otago Vintage Club?
Yes, it is. And obviously you haven't been through our museum. We have a lot of other things as well as the tractors. We do have a historical room, which is used a lot by the locals to find out ancestries. So that seems to be most of the time we get visitors. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
Good morning, just a quick question, number 3 on your question 36, 22 and 1,240 for awarding urgent asbestos removal from artefacts. What's that?
Oh, we have, some years ago, we became aware that there was a possible issue with asbestos contamination within our museum, and we paid ourselves to get a asbestos report done. There's an area in the mezzanine floor in the museum. I don't know if you've been into our museum, but there's a mezzanine floor up there, and apparently when they removed the old asbestos roof back in the mid-1990s, I think it was, they laid the sheets of asbestos in that area to remove them out of the museum, and the testing has showed that it has been contaminated with A-grade asbestos dust.
So it's building more than artefact.
There were artefacts stored up there, so the artefacts that are stored up there have been contaminated with this dust. And when we put an application into Otago Community Trust for the asbestos removal. Initially, we were looking at removing the asbestos out of the whole building, but as they pointed out, that with the future of the building having a question mark over it, asbestos removal from the building would become part of the demolition process, which is understandable. But we still need to have the artefacts that have been contaminated by the asbestos cleaned so that we can remove them from the building before whatever happens. Yes. And that area has been isolated, by the way, and we have done testing within the main museum, so it's quite safe to be in there, but we've just cut off that area.
Councillor Goldman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick question from me. Thanks for speaking to your submission. What direction would you say visitors to our museums is trending? Is it up, down, static, in general?
Well, I think the museums with the information centres attached to them have an advantage because the visitors are already coming in to go to the information centres, and if they're interested, we'll go to the museums as well. Those of us who don't have the information centres attached to them have less visitors. For us in Clutha, in the past 6 months, our visitor numbers has increased from 2.5 per day open to 3 per day open, which is good, and that is partly attributable to the people over at Tupoma directing people to us, and certainly with the reopening of the arches, people see us across the road and will notice that there's been an increase in visitors with that. But the numbers for us are still way too low to be sustainable. That we've got for the museums.
On behalf of West Otago, if we had a cycle trail going past our museum, we'd have a lot bigger visitor numbers too. But it's really pretty static, because unless we have something new in our museum, who's going to come back and see it? And that's the thing is, it's there. You see it once, and you may reminisce on some of it, but it's just no real change, really. A cycle trail would help.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Any further questions, councillors? Oh, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to your submission today. That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, well, up next we have the Clutha Valley Rural Neighbourhood Support Group, and Karen, is Karen here? Welcome, Karen. No, it's not Karen. She's probably at the tavern. So who have we got today?
Rayward.
Welcome, Rayward.
Apologies from Karen. She couldn't make it today. So thank you for Worship and councillors for letting us talk about our submission. I've been thrown in the deep end, so just bear with me. As I said, my name's Rayward Van Voot, and on behalf of the Clutha Valley Neighbourhood Support, we put our submission into the council to help with our costing to install the CCTV cameras in our area. We're seeking possibly half of the cost. It's just over 20k. We've nearly raised 10 ourselves, and we're seeking 10k from council, plus monthly running costs at present set at $90.75 at the present, that's the quote we've been given. And our main objective is putting these cameras up, and that is to have a safer community for all, and surrounding districts, because the roads to Clutha Valley we are the busiest place and roads around the area, and it linking the surrounding districts will help when needed, making our community safer and getting the local members feeling like they have a safe community. The Clutha Valley Neighbourhood Support was formed for this, to make a safer community, and we're just following through our promise to our community. So that's basically what we're doing. So we're seeking hopefully 10K from council. We have just raised over 7,700 ourselves, and we're still fundraising and seeking donations to cover the rest of the cost of just over 20,000. So yeah, short and sweet, but that's it for us at the moment.
Oh, that's great, and it's straight to the point, clear and concise. Wonderful, thank you.
And thrown in the deep end.
Councillors, any questions for Raven? Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Your Worship. Hi, Ray.
Hi.
Thank you for speaking to the submission today. Obviously, you've seen a bit of an increase in activity that warrants this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad, the sign of the times, and we just want to help prevent it more, and and make the community feel safer. And with the roads, and it'll help where they're going to set the cameras. It's along the main by the primary school, and over the other side of the river by the Clutha Vets and that, so it can go all directions and stuff. So we're seeking 3 cameras at this stage.
And just one further, Your Worship. The school will have its own security system in place, I would think.
Yeah, on the school ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jules.
Through you, Your Worship, I was just wondering, is there any flexibility about where the cameras might go? Because we've obviously had issues with the Clutha Valley Bridge being damaged, and whether that would be able to be
or an additional camera yes.
Because we have a water treatment plant right there that
Yes,
picks up
we
all the
do.
traffic that comes through there. So just keen potentially through you, Worship, whether that would be something we could have a further discussion on.
Well, it's open for discussion, isn't it? Yeah, we've got the 3, so I mean, they're not in there permanently now, so it's open for discussion. Yeah.
Councillor McAtamney.
Thank you, Rowan. Do you think then if there was a 4th camera that the council may perhaps contribute a little bit more if they want to preserve their bridge?
Yeah, if they wanted a 4th camera, yeah. You might have a bit more objection on where the 4th camera's going to be, but yeah. We actually, it was quite interesting, the answers to our questions about where the cameras were, and only a couple had said, is it going to be on the bridge? You know, like, yeah. It's not for that. It's for security and peace of mind, that if something's happened or some thieving or just joyriders or whatever, you know, we weren't specifically targeting contractors on the bridge and stuff.
But if you tell us their names.
We're contractors.
You're a problem up there.
For anyone on the bridge.
Councillor McAtamney, it's very naughty.
You might not be able to answer it, but what's the $90 ongoing monthly charge for?
That's for the running costs of having the internet and that for the cameras. Through we went through Rivernet, Uniform.
Don Gillespie,
Yeah.
Do we pay that for the Clutha?
All of our other, through you, Your Worship, all of our other cameras, we pay for that.
Yeah.
They do a bit of maintenance through the year, and that's, because it all gets sent back to the Clutha Police Station. Called it there.
Yeah.
which we would just need to check that we've got
And that's
capacity
the
for that.
price we
These-
got paid, got quoted.
So these ones will go back to the station too if it's all set up.
So we'll have to check on Unifone.
Yeah, we've gone with Unifone because I've done other.
Yep.
Other ones and it's working well, so we thought we'd just tee in with those ones. And then, like you said, the police station has it and it works, the system works.
Okay, the other thing would be if it's got the capacity, like you say, to add another 1 or 2 or 3 with other outfits wanting them down the track.
So the local businesses where the cameras get attached are happy to power those cameras?
Yeah, that's a question I don't know, because Karen was doing that and she had other, but she was gonna be here, but staff issues.
So, Your Worship, just to clarify that, it's about $30 a year in power. It's not a lot, but
Yeah.
it depends on the agreement with the location that's installed.
No further questions for Karen. We've done this before in the past with some other communities throughout the district. So I'll just on behalf of the council thank you, Rowan, for representing the neighbourhood support group up there in the valley, and that's great that these are taking ownership. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Right, so we're into session 3 now, councillors. So if you want to have a bit of a leg stretch, we'll we a bit of a freshener and we'll keep moving. Jeff, welcome. Yep, I've got you up, mate. We're going to have a few technical issues over there. We'll keep things moving along. Thank you for coming, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, as some of you may know, past life I was actually sat at this table and been through quite a few verbal hearings. But for me, it's the first time here presenting. So to use a talkback radio phrase, this makes you a long time listener, first time caller. Balmoral Water Scheme is a significant and necessary investment in the future of our rural communities. It brings together 4 existing schemes along with Lawrence Township, or with non-compliant treatment into one modern system designed to meet today's drinking water standards and provide a reliable, safe supply. For many users, the current situation has been challenging. Long-term boil water notices and concerns around water quality have created uncertainty and at times real risk. This scheme directly addresses those issues through proper treatment, secure boil water sources, and a more resilient network. There's a fundamental shift to a single integrated system delivering consistent standards across the entire area. That is a positive step, and the committee acknowledges the council's commitment in delivering this infrastructure. However, affordability must remain front of mind. Rural users already face significant costs, and any increase must be balanced against the ability to pay. Water is an essential service, and the cost burden should be shared fairly. This is where the water capping rate becomes critical. Without it, there is a real risk that rising costs will become unsustainable for some users. The committee supports the proposed capping of the water scheme's water rate and considers 20% to be an appropriate and practical level. It provides necessary safeguard while still allowing the scheme to operate effectively. At the same time, the availability charge has an important role to play. It helps provide income stability for the scheme, particularly as we see pressures from farm conversions to forestry and increasing requests to terminate supply. Without that stability, fewer users can meet higher costs for those who remain. I've only become chairman for the last 2 weeks, and already I have two termination requests from the scheme, amounting to 24 units. The availability charge also ensures continuity of supply for essential services such as firefighting, which is critical in rural areas. Beyond that, it underpins the land there and provides flexibility for the future. Should land use trends shift again, having a reliable water supply already in place will be a significant advantage. In summary, this scheme is a necessary and positive development, but its success will ultimately be judged on affordability. Without effective rate capping and the support of the availability charge, there is a real risk that costs will become unsustainable for rural users. Getting this balance right is critical, not just for fairness, but to ensure the long-term viability of the scheme and the communities it is meant to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Councillors, any questions for Jeff, please? Councillor Gold.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for presenting today, Jeff. And yes, affordability is front of mind, especially for that scheme, I would say. Just a question for you. What do you describe, or how do you define affordability in terms of the Balmoral to Opeka scheme? So what I mean about that, at what sort of level do you think you'll see people dropping off that are normal everyday users that haven't experienced land use change?
Well, the feedback is when they see that $1,000 figure in the future, there's a very big heads up. I'm not sure where the figure is, but it's certainly there's 3 figures, 4 figures is too far. I think there's two things to think about too as well. That while the rural farmers may be able to help it under financial conditions, like previous years it's been a struggle. And besides that, you've got to remember there's quite a few rural lifestyle blocks now popping up all over the place that are connected. And that is, that's a huge cost to them.
Thank you.
Councillor Graham.
That's through you, Mr. Chair. I wonder where all the old councillors went. They come back.
I'm still here, I see.
Yes.
You're all good to that, Councillor.
You said you've had 2 applicants in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
So was that to forestry or to people withdrawing because of the cost?
They were both forestry.
Both forestry. Okay.
Any further questions for councillors for Jeff? Oh, well, thank you very much, Jeff, for making the journey down to speak to your submission. Councillors?
Fergus, can you hear me?
We're still having a few technical issues.
Frozen again. It would pay to turn your camera off, Fergus. That might help. Can you hear me?
Want to send him a chat?
Sorry, we might move on to the next one. We're just
Do we have a-
connection issues there.
Two connection
If
issues.
you want to send him a chat. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Do we have Bree? I don't see Bree in the room to represent the Tuapeka Aquatic Centre. Oh, you represent him.
Fine
then. Oh, oh, sorry.
You right there, Fergus? We can hear you. Hello, we can hear you. Can you hear us, Fergus?
It's Fergus clocking in from the Catlins.
Yeah.
Councillor might need to get something sorted out down there.
Oh, okay. Can you hear us, Fergus? Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
he's back in. Here he is.
Here he is. You can
Sorry.
hear us, Fergus?
He-
Moving this time.
No.
Email.
Fergus, can you hear us?
Looks at his phone.
He's frozen again. No. Yeah. I think we'll carry on while we've got the Aquatic Centre representative here, please. Eden, please come to the floor. Awesome. Welcome, Eden.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I just wanted to clear, although I've been here last week speaking for council, I'm here today as a member of the Tuapeka Aquatic Centre. The Tuapeka Aquatic Centre has been a part of our community for 10 years now, and over that time it's grown well beyond just a swimming pool. From our submission, you'll see how our facility has grown over the years, but behind the scenes, it still runs on a pretty manual system, and a lot of that falls back on a small group of people. We're proposing an automatic chemical testing and dosing system. At the moment, the water quality is managed through manual testing and dosing multiple times a day. This means someone physically going in, testing, adjusting, and making sure everything is within range every day, including weekends. We do have a paid caretaker during the week, but outside of that, it leans heavily on volunteers. At the moment, our pool is run with a mix of paid caretaking and a lot of committee volunteer input. In the summer, we're testing and managing chemicals multiple times a day as part of the caretaking duties. 3 hours a day of work, and that's every day of the week. That system works, but it relies heavily on people being available and remembering to do it and getting it right every time, especially over weekends. A lot of us live out of town and have to drive 10 to 20 minutes each direction just to do the midday test. As you are all sitting here, we'll be on the same, living in a small but mighty community. As all of you sitting here will be the same, living in a small but mighty community. For all our committee, this is only one of the clubs or committees they belong to. That's where the pressure really sits. It's not just time, it's a constant responsibility of knowing the pool has to stay within safe limits. The automatic tester and doser doesn't remove the need for people, but it takes over the constant monitoring and adjustment instead of relying on manual checks a day. The system keeps things stable continuously, and we move to simple morning and evening checks. An automated system removes a bigger part of the risk. It keeps the water quality consistent, reduces the chance of human error, and gives us much more confidence that the standards are being maintained at all times, not just when someone happens to be there. From a staffing point of view, it makes a big difference too. A role that currently requires multiple visits a day, including weekends, is hard to fill and even harder to keep filled. It allows our committee and caretaker to focus on long-term priorities, looking into grants and other avenues to support our growing gym and bigger maintenance projects we will have in the next 10 years. So this isn't just about improving the water we test, it's about giving us the capacity to keep improving the whole facility. So while the upfront cost is significant, the long-term benefit is safer, more reliable, and more sustainable for our facility and the community. This isn't just an operational upgrade, it's what allows us to keep improving our facility and keep it viable for the next 10 years. Thank you for the time. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them now.
Thank you for that presentation. Eden, councillors, any questions? Councillor Grant.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Eden, thank you for your submission. So you're applying for grants. So if you get them, what you want from us will drop.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. So we've got bigger projects in the future that we've had a meeting with, like Otago Community Trust and that already, but it's hard to get these grants going when our time's spent doing all the dosing and the.
So it may not necessarily be this amount, but
yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Kennan.
Thank you for your presentation, Eden. Question. If you go ahead with the chemical dosing, and then we won't need to pay caretaker's fees as our other community pools won't pay caretaker fees.
There will still be a caretaker role in there in the morning and obviously cleaning the pool and keeping up to a standard, but it will remove that midday testing.
Councillor McIntyre.
Yeah, thank you. Eden, just looking at your accounts, I noticed last year you had your cash position improved by about $23,000. It's just one, and the amount you're requesting is about 26,000. I was just wondering whether you considered whether you could actually handle that.
Probably not with the ongoing costs of just maintaining the pool. I am just joined the committee in September, so I don't know all the finance answers, but I know the general upkeep of the pool is taking quite a bit of that.
Yeah. It was just interesting. There was a deficit in the revenue and expenditure, but yet the cash position actually improved.
Yes, that's something that I'll have to get. I can get back to you with an answer for that, if you like.
Would you like an answer for that, Councillor McIntyre? Eden's filling in remembrance.
I can write it down and ask the team and email it to you if you like.
It's just through you, Your Worship. We could include that in the decision report if you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get that to you.
Thank you, Jules. Any further questions for Eden?
Just something for clarification, Your Worship. Eden, this is dropping you in it, so but it's worth a question. In previous annual plan submissions, I seem to recall the group was looking for support in a project around heating, and there were some actions around working with the group to bring back results of that in any funding sense to council. But I don't see anything in this submission on that subject. Do I take it from that then that we don't have to look at council support or funding for effectively that's been resolved now?
In my understanding, and I can again triple check, we still have that agreement with the Lawrence store, which is quite great, with the pellet heating, and because the heating is now being reinstated, because the boilers got shut down to be turned to pellets. Last year we had that big debacle of having to get a diesel heater, and that cost quite a bit of our savings. But the pellet heater is now more reliable through this school. It's not saying that long term it's going to be forever, but it's also, if we get this, it's one step towards our committee being able to go for bigger grants that are not council reliant on, and focusing on trying to future proof.
Thank you.
I'll just add to that too, Steve. it was actually an action of councils for the community services area to investigate that. And have they not come back and reported to council yet on the findings of that?
Well, Your Worship, that's what I was asking, in the sense of that we talked about it and said the group was to be working with council, and I understand that was the case. And then I would have expected that if there was any funding request, it would come through the submission process, and that's why I was asking if it's not coming through the submission process. And Eden's answered the question. It looks like it has been resolved, which is fine.
But it would be a good action to follow up with community services where that ever landed, because I know there's been some staffing changes since then, so it'd be a good one to get ticked off. Councillor Catherwood.
I just wanted to ask a question regarding the caretaker funding. Was that a one-off, 1 year, or was that?
I think the final submission was around a chemical tester, not caretaking funding. Is that right? That's what the submission is based on.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah. So you've secured the
No
caretaker
idea.
funding for the shed?
No idea, sorry.
I am unsure.
That's not the submission, is
That's,
it?
yeah, sorry, I'm one of the 7 committee members who just, only one that could come today, so.
Any further questions? Oh, well, thank you for your time, Eden.
No, thank you for your time and appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. How are we getting on with our...
Hi Fergus, can you hear me now? Can you try unmuting, please? I can't hear you, you have to unmute. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call him as a phone call via the Teams. Is that okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to call you on your cell phone, Fergus. Just sit tight for a minute. Sorry, perhaps we'll move on to the next one while I figure it out.
Ron, you came in the door. Ron, did I see Ron come in? Yeah. Ron, sorry, I appreciate you just got here, but we're having a few technical issues. If you wanted to talk now, would be grateful. I'll move it. Thank you.
Got 199.
Yes. This problem with you guys when you were having even your live streaming, the ones we in here, they talk to the front table and you can't hear them on the live stream. You guys are fine.
I think with the green lights, the mic, so if everybody talks to that, hopefully you can hear it.
Hello, Ron Kelly, farmer, contractor, been in the Milton area all my life. I'll give you a bouquet for the council. Last year, you half pint listened, and with the Grocery Plaza, you had a $2.5 million, you cut it down to 1.5. You got the contract done, and it was 1.1. That probably wasn't without the consultants. So instead of putting the money in your back pocket, you've decided to increase it and put the things back in it again. People I've spoken to would have been quite happy if it had a green space with some tables on it and more car parking. And they would have been more than happy and they've saved you your rates. Let alone the destination toilets, which have been over $1 million. And now we've got a problem with them that they're a safety hazard because you can't have a wet floor. If you've got consultants and you're spending $1 million, surely you should be able to get that right. Savings from that could have gone to the pool to run it for another year. I'm divided on keeping the pool open for a year. One side says close it and save the money. The other side says keep it open for the kids to learn to swim. I question the 117,000 savings that you proposed there. My understanding is that budget for that pool was 240,000 for the year. I understand you've got standing charges, insurance and all the rest of it to keep it running. But I think the savings should have been more than 117,000 to close it. But that doesn't address the elephant in the room. Why are we building a new pool costing the ratepayers 14.5 million and adding at least another 240 to the rates next year without the operating costs, which could be close to 900,000? That's another 650 a year over the current pool. At $9 a ticket for a swim, you do the math. For 7 or 8 years ago, we were 45 million in the green. Now we're getting closer to 160 million in the red. And debt percentage to rates revenue is at 421%. That's the highest rural council in the country by 150%. In hoping this year the council departments stay within their budgets, but from what I can see, and I can hear from council meetings, this is not going to happen. In the 2024 year, there was only one department that came close to budget, that was the roading. And now I hear that the head man of that was moved sideways. Was he making the rest of the departments look bad, because they were? A council is a service provider, nothing more. Roads that work, water that is clean, parks that are maintained, waste that is collected, libraries that are open, and construction that holds the district together. Do these things well, do them efficiently. Do them all at the lowest possible cost to the ratepayers. Funding them, then stop. You do not get to expand into commercial enterprises, venues. You do not get to borrow millions and send the bills to the homeowners who have no say in the matter. The money you spend is not yours. It is never yours. It is taken from productive people under the threat of losing their homes. That is not a small thing. That is an enormous responsibility, and it should be treated like one. A 20% rate rise is not acceptable, especially on the back of the 6% last year. And I can see the rates going up another 20% going forward. We need to go through these things line by line, and it's essentials only, not nice to haves like targeted car parks and streetscapes. When the benefits and wages are the only thing going up by 2.5% to 3%, and you're wanting 20%, it's coming out of the food and power budget, because they are not going to take your property. Since this council thinks that forming a CCO for water and moving that related debit across so it will solve their problems, it might, but it's still the ratepayer that the bill, and I suspect it will be larger. The rural water scheme.
We've done it at a time, but have you got much more to go on?
No, just the water. You were talking about 100 metres there. We're not in an urban environment. It needs to go out to a K. It also needs to take into consideration forestry blocks that have been subdivided into lifestyle blocks. So those lifestyle blocks might be away from the thing, but they were serviced by that rural scheme. So it is. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. But that elephant in the room about adding back our units, it is going to cost us a fortune to do all, Bruce. Not only have we got the Wahola ones, but all the forestry as well.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Questions, councillors, for Ron? Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Ron, thank you for your submission, and I was impressed by the figures you're throwing about debt and all that, but were you aware that a recent Taxpayers Union survey of the average residential rates in the councils in New Zealand placed, of the councils that responded, the Clutha district was second from cheapest, the second cheapest average residential rates in New Zealand. Were you aware of that?
That didn't come up on the graph that I was looking at the other day.
Maybe we're looking at two different things.
No, it was the taxpayers one as well. So that's, I'm not saying that you go back to 4 or 5%, thing, but at least keep it down to 10%.
I think, do you not agree that percentages don't mean anything unless you take it with the base that they're worked on, as in 100% of $2 is $2, but 2% of $1,000 is more than $2.
Yes, but when the rates went up 26%, that's just moved it up, and you're taking another 20% off that 26% that you've already risen it last year.
Do you not still think that it comes down to the base that you're taking it off? Otherwise, percentages don't mean anything.
It's still for the ability of the end users to pay, and when you've got senior citizens going to food banks and going down to get returned school lunches because that's the only way they can feed themselves, I think we've got a problem.
I think we're not here to debate percentages and so forth. It was more about questions for Ron. Has anyone else got any questions for Ron? Councillor McAtee.
Yeah, Ron, the question, the idea you've raised with that availability charge. We've said it's got to be 100 metres. You've said 1K, but should that be any distance from the line?
Yeah, cool. Where you're going to draw the line, that's going to be a problem. I also have a problem with the 2023. I think she at least going back to 2020 before the trees actually started. This is my personal view. But if we're going to supply extra units, we've got to find places for all the lower units to go. The pipelines aren't big enough. That's why I'm sort of in favour with the percentage increase that you're talking about, because I can see that our scheme in time is going to need major upgrades as well, just to get water to where it's meant to be. Because you've got to remember, it was designed in the 1980s or late 79, and farming landscape in my area has changed dramatically as it has in the Lawrence one.
Any further questions for Ron? Oh, well, once again, Ron, thanks for taking the time out of your day to come and speak to us.
No problem. Yes, guys.
Right, I'm gonna call this.
There we go.
Kia ora koutou. Fergus, you can hear me all right? It's Becky at the Clutha District Council.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, I've got you in the chambers room, so you can be introduced by me job now.
Welcome, Fergus. Can you hear us all right?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but that's all right.
That's all right.
That's fine.
At least we can have a conversation.
I'm 6 foot tall and handsome.
But that's okay. We won't worry.
Righto, Fergus. Welcome along, and look forward to your talking to your submission.
Right, thank you very much. Well, I'm speaking to you anyway, the Mayor, the councillors, staff, in a couple. The reasons why I want to talk about this quite tiny thing in all your deliberations is just to give you a bit of history, put you on the map with Papa and get our playgrounds on the plan for this year. So, first of all, a little bit of history. myself first, I've been in and around South Tigers since 1945, so that gives you an idea how old I am. Probably why have had a career here since the 1960s, and have been involved with the playground quite a deal, right from its creation. We have to thank one Jim Peterson, who was developed land down here and set aside a generous amount of land for the playground. So we as a community have been building it up over years. And I have to say we've had quite a lot of help from the council at that times for equipment and making it safe for our kids with chips and so on. I'm currently the playground convener, so we're at a place where we want to renew the chips. Well, last year I contacted through the good offices of our councillor, your staff member Stacey. Now he promised us a chips in July, but I understand he left. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, we didn't get the chips right through the summer, and it badly needs them. So we did suggest at the time we get it on the annual plan, get the playground requirements on the annual plan. So we were too late. It was this time last year I was talking to him, and too late to get it on the plan for last year. So I put it on the plan for this year, and I'm just wanting to emphasise to get that on the plan so that we can get the safety issues dealt with. And it's relatively urgent now. We've also put in a sum of money to replace the timber of our slide, which badly needs work on it. It's something that the community can fix as long as we get the money for the timber. I might say that some of you all know about the Papua Carnival. Well, it was initiated to raise funds for the playground, which is usually the heart of our little community here. It's quite a lot larger than would be expected from normal playground because of Jim Peterson's desire and his vision that it be the heart of the community. And of course, we have a lot of visitors here nowadays use the playground as well as group owners. There's about 40 of us live here at the moment, but in summertime we have over maybe 150 to 200 people in and around the community. So there you are, there's a little bit of a picture of the Papua playground, and we would like to get it on the plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Fergus. I'll just go around the room and see if the councillors have got any questions for you. Questions for Fergus, councillors? I've just got a question, Fergus. I see it's Jock speaking. You haven't approached anyone else. You've just come straight to council for the funding.
Yes, so we've had a lot of volunteer and other help from different organisations. The most recent help we had was from Finlay's Thornwilling and Southland, who gave us timber to renew the surrounds of our Dartcliffe area. Finlay's family goes back in Papua to the 1920s, and they owned land still up until recently along the waterfront, which we as a community organisation, that is a different organisation, not PEDCA, Papua Forest Heritage Trust, purchased recently and created another reserve. So they've been very supportive, and others have too. And most of the work that's done in the playground is forestry, keeping everything up to standard. So plus a bit of gifting from time to time, as I've mentioned.
Oh, no, thank you for that. No further questions for Fergus? Jules?
Yeah, hello Fergus, it's Jules Witt here. We've had some discussions with our staff and a staff submission regarding a replacement slide for the Papatawai playground. Is that something that you're aware of?
No, I'm not aware of that, but the slide was, of course, one that was donated, and it was not of high quality, so the timber was rotted. So if we could get a replacement slide of good quality, it would be better than perhaps renewing the timber.
Okay, thank you for that. It just might be useful for the report when council is looking at that in terms of the overall picture for the Papatawai playground.
So your council have already had a request for a slide?
Council staff are putting in a staff submission for one, and that's why I just wanted to make sure there have been some discussions with the playground convener on Papatawai.
Yeah, obviously there's been a breakdown in communication. Well, there's no further questions. Fergus, thanks so much for what you do down there in Papatawai.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Now we've had Ron. Is Bernadette in the room? Bernadette, oh, welcome.
I can be Bernadette.
Welcome.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Fullerton and Bernadette Gallagher, and we're here today to have a chat to you about our community garden. Okay?
I have a brief statement to read out. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. So we're here on behalf of the Belcreeka Community Garden, which is run entirely by volunteers. We are a community initiative focused on providing fresh, accessible produce and a space for connection and wellbeing. Our produce is provided purely by donation. This is intentional as it ensures that cost is not a barrier and that people from all walks of life can access fresh, affordable, seasonal produce. The garden supports not only access to fresh food, but also social connection, learning and a sense of purpose for those involved. We also donate any excess vegetables regularly to Food Bank. Reporting has highlighted that 1 in 3 households experience food insecurity. In that context, our garden provides a small but meaningful local response to an urgent need. Financially, we operate on a very small scale. We bring in around $2,300 per season from selling our produce, and our basic costs are slightly over $800, but that excludes rates. Our annual rates bill last year was $2,095, but we did get a grant from a submission last year, which covered that, which we are most grateful for. And so we really appreciate that, and all the support we've had from council over the years as well. We note that many community gardens in New Zealand are located on council land and actually pay little or no rates. We see our garden as providing a similar level of support to our community. So we are therefore seeking rates relief again as we continue to operate in a way that prioritises accessibility, inclusion and community wellbeing. Thank you. We're happy to answer any questions.
Lovely, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, questions? Councillor Kennedy.
Welcome, guys. Thank you for your submission and for all the good work you guys do. My question is, going forward, the piece of land that you're using may not be there. Have you put a question to council, is there a piece of land around in one of the reserves that can be used, that can always stay as a community garden for Belcreeka?
Wow, that's a great.
We'd very much love that.
We pretty well love that.
When the garden was first initiated, Robin Bell, who's on our committee, approached council. There wasn't any land at that stage. And then she inquired around the community, and that's when we got Mr. Dempster, who offered us that piece of land. We don't know how long we're going to be able to continue to use that land. But
But that would be marvellous.
Will you follow that up? Since you proposed it, councillor Kennedy? Councillor Catlin.
So the actual funds that your submission, it's just rates neutral, is that correct?
yeah, it would be great if we didn't have to pay any rates, to be honest, but I know you're under constraint. Any assistance with rates would be much appreciated.
Our predicament is pretty dire, actually. We can't really afford to operate. Lots of people are really generous. We all help in the garden. Lots, all over the show, really. Pretty.
The reading in your submission and supporting documentation, you've got a lot of organising that going on there, and well done. And I know a little bit about organising people and people management, so you're doing a great job. And another thing to take into perspective, because the district's made up of numerous smaller communities, but the greater population of Balclutha is over 4,900 residents. So we've got to take that into perspective with any decisions moving forward. So you're doing a great job.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Next on our session, we have got Talia from Gore and Clutha Whānau Refuge. Welcome, Talia.
Good morning, I'm Talia Marshall, the manager of Gore and Clutha Whānau Refuge, and this is Craig, our male advocate. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to support our application for operational funding for our work in the Clutha district. While our core family violence crisis intervention service is well funded, the reality is that crisis response alone is not enough. If we are truly committed to creating safer families and stronger communities, we also need to invest in prevention strategies. Our preventative programs are a vital part of this work, yet they currently operate without dedicated funding. These programs are designed to address the underlying factors that contribute to family violence, housing instability and conflict, helping individuals in whānau build safer, more sustainable futures. Our male advocate currently presents Loves Me Not programs at South Otago High School and Consent and Healthy Relationship talks annually at Telford. The money we receive from Clutha District Council is operational, not administration. This funding is directly used to service staff supporting better outcomes and facilitation of programs for clients in this district. One example is our Ideal Renters program, which has achieved outstanding results. For participants who fully engage, we have seen a 100% success rate in securing private rental housing. This program provides intensive one-on-one support for people who may not meet the criteria for social housing or who have been declined emergency housing for a range of reasons. We support these clients to understand their rights and responsibilities as tenants, prepare for the rental market, complete kāinga ora applications, and attend rental viewings with confidence. In addition to this, our non-violence program supports individuals to develop healthier ways of communicating and managing conflict, while our mediation service helps families and individuals resolve disputes before they escalate into crisis. Recently, we collaborated with Gore Counselling Centre to support them with a dedicated office space in Clutha on Mondays, providing further opportunity for client support in the area. Our advocates struggled to find counselling options without long wait times, and by sharing our space, we have created increased client supports. I'll hand over to Craig to talk in more detail about the impact of our mediation, male advocacy and non-violence services.
Thanks, Talia. Your Worship, councillors. The male advocacy role was created 5 years ago, and in that space we are probably groundbreaking. There was only 2 male advocates in the refuge space in all of New Zealand, but literally in the last 6 months it's really taken off. Dunedin has appointed 1, and Invercargill now have 2.5s, and males getting the support they need, not only as perpetrators but victims of family violence. has become more and more of a commonality that we've seen, which is why we looked at the mediation side of things as well. So I've now become a qualified mediator, which allows us to offer a free service, whereas mediation generally somewhere between 400 to 1,000, if not more, so that we can free up police time. So instead of them being called out to residential disputes about property, kids, things like that, we can actually ask these guys to come in and we can sit down and mediate an agreement, and as long as they're actually okay with that, especially around the kids, we can actually put that through the family court and it becomes a legal document, sort of bypassing the entire court system as well. So I think that's a service that's going to be greatly used in the next, well, however long Talia keeps me employed, I suppose. But yeah, we also offer a non-violence program, which is run by my colleague Rachel. This has been approved by judges as it runs alongside the Ministry of Justice system as well. And sometimes we're able to offer that when guys can't be there till 5 o'clock or after. We're a bit more flexible around where that service sits. So for us to be able to offer that also means that somebody doesn't have to tell their story twice. But yeah, absolutely love servicing this area. Very complex needs around some of the things that we see here, especially around Pacifica people, which is not something we see a lot in Gore, but here it's obviously a lot of bigger. So for us to be culturally sensitive and aware around, especially even the people that are coming to work on farms, Filipino, that sort of thing, we've really had to improve our service, something wicked to learn about what we're dealing with now. So but yeah, that's us in a nutshell, and I just appreciate you guys for your time. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for that informative talk. I just got to the end of it. At the end, it was quite interesting. Well, we talk about growth and diversity and culture, and yeah, with growth comes other issues as well. So that's really informative. Thank you for that. Councillors, any questions? Councillor McAtamney.
Yeah, okay, yes, yeah, thank you, Talia and Craig. I often spend a bit of time through the accounts. We've given this grant for a few years, and I couldn't actually see where it was placed inside the accounts or what line. But what I'm curious about is your group works through Eastern, Northern, Southern. So what do Gore District Council and Southern District Council contribute?
So at the moment, we don't receive funding from Gore District Council. We are receiving funding from we get other grants from other services, but for the Clutha area, we apply for that funding. The male advocacy role is fully funded by Gore, not the council, but our funding comes from the Gore for Buyers table. So to run the same services in Clutha, that's where we've come to the council for that funding.
Yeah. So what about Southern District Council? Do they contribute?
No. I mean, also, sorry, just to note that you talked about the funding from last year. We did hold over our funding for 1 year because we had applied for specific funding to run a men's police safety order house, but that didn't eventuate for multiple reasons. So we had used that, we had held that over for a year, so we didn't apply last year.
And so do you, have you submitted to Southern as well?
No. Yeah, that is something we could look at. I wasn't aware we could go to Southern.
Councillor Capital.
So in Gore, where do you go for funding in Gore? You don't go to the council, but where do you gain the funding from that Gore district? There's a pool of money from.
Yeah, so the Matera Licensing Trust have significantly funded our Rangatahi Mahi program. Also Community Trust.
Yeah.
I think that's the COGS funding.
Of Gore? Trust of Gore or?
Southern.
Southern.
Yeah. And lotteries funding.
And I suppose, Your Worship, the natural question would be, in terms of our community trusts and third-party funding and that side of things, have you applied to any of those for?
So the Clutha Licensing Trust have supported with fundraisers, just on a smaller scale.
Trust. Have you gone to the Target Trust then?
We have, there's a, is it the Patricia France Trust have just supported recently. that's out of Dunedin, but it covers Clutha and Southland.
Any further questions for the team, councillors? Well, if there's no further questions for the team, I'd just once again like to thank you for attending and hearing for your submission. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Right, so we're going not too bad, councillors. We were to break for lunch at 12:20. If we break now, we could possibly get going a bit sooner, couldn't we, Julie? Yeah, we'll see how the submitters go, but please be mindful, we might have a
12:45.
but we just might just have to
Can we-
clarify.
Can we go back to these, to item 1,
Yeah.
please? And can we do the remaining recommendations that we haven't done yet?
Yeah, on page 4. Councillor Cotton and Councillor Frost, are you listening, please? Page 4, we're just going to go back to them and carry on.
Recommendation 3.
3, 4, 5 and 6.
Would someone-
3, 4, 5 and 6 together, I'll be able to move those.
Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Harrison, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Unanimous.
Thank you.
And we'll break for lunch.